Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Mystics Outlook. We got Raymond Lyons here, Cardell Dudley Jr. I'm Wilson Tarpe Jr. And look, man, Washington relies on defense to win their third straight game. They leave Chicago with the 74-70 win. Cardell and I were talking about it with you guys on the last edition of Mystics Outlook. Ray talked about it a little bit last night on this week's edition of the Focus TV, which is up now on our Roku channel. Please go check that out. Talking about where Washington is in the standings and how pivotal tonight's outcome could be for both teams. That's it, Ray. Your take from this wild game where we saw Washington through all the ups and downs. They held Chicago to 12 points in the fourth quarter as they wrap.
Yeah, man, you started off with it. Their defense took them home, and this is a good win, man. Especially seeing how well they shot the ball in the first half, like they were lights out, and then I feel like coming out of halftime they were a little too dependent on the threes, and they kind of cooled down, and Chicago was able to kind of take control of the game, but they like they turned up their defense, and that's what got them back in it. They got some steals, got in the open court, got some easy baskets, and and they gutted one out, and that's what it's about at this point of the season. Like you said, they're still fighting for a chance to make the playoffs, and they did themselves a huge favor with this win tonight. And they already have a tough time battling teams on the boards. Shakira was out tonight, so that made their job even harder. The Sky still won the battle on the glass, but they fought and they made it tough. We saw a lot of gang rebounding, which that's pretty much got to be the mission with them. Everybody's got to find somebody, put a body on somebody, box out and get those boards. And they were able to keep it reasonably competitive in that aspect, and that went a long way. Offensively, like I mentioned, first half they were just lights out. Beautiful ball movement. They were getting in the paint and finding 3-point shooters. Like those are the threes that you want to get, not just bring up the ball one pass and somebody chucks a wild shot up. They're making people collapse and they're finding people in rhythm. To the Mystics' credit, they knocked them down early, and that kind of put Chicago on their heels. But yeah, man, this game was much like their season, just a lot of turmoil, very up and down. Now they find themselves in in a position I don't think anybody thought they would be in with the way they started the year. They still need a little bit of help, but if they continue to handle business, who knows what things look like come season's end. But yeah, this was definitely a big one. If they're it seems like they're still eyeing to make the playoffs. The Sky's sitting in the 8th spot right now, but with this win, the Mystics only 2.5 games back. So yeah, man, if they make a push, some things fall their way, then who knows what'll happen.
Cardell.
Yeah, hell of a rebound from I just felt a weird third quarter. With their lack of execution on offense, forcing up the threes, just relying on the jumpers. I felt like they played the game that the Chicago Sky wanted them to play. They in the third quarter, the Mystics, it seemed like they played to avoid having to deal with the Sky's size inside, and you can't do that. You just can't do that. The Sky shot 50% in the quarter, and the Mystics, they only scored 10 points because they shot 25%. They made 4 of 16, but 6 of their 16 shots were from three. They were just settling for jumpers. And then that they allowed us, they had a double-digit lead. They had like 11-point lead, and they allowed the Sky to come back and take the lead. But then in the fourth quarter, the Mystics clamped down. They clamped down, and they showed heart. There's no other way to put it. They showed tremendous heart, especially their front court. Ainsler and they held it down just enough. They held it down just enough for when Edwards and Dolson came back in the game. Their defensive execution inside was just ridiculous. We know Atkins, we know Sykes, we know they're gonna get active. Now we never have to worry about them as long as they're healthy. They're gonna get after it on the defense, man. But that front line, Chicago couldn't get anything. They was trying to find Angel. They was trying to find Cardoso, and they couldn't. Even when they did manage to get a pass in there, man, the guards were coming in from help side, knocking the passes loose, deflections. And one thing I noticed throughout the game, and this must have been some hell of a scout. I wish I was at the post game to ask them this question. They were playing some vicious. They were overplaying on their denied defense a lot, and they were getting some key steals when they would try to reverse pass to get back in, some getting in 3-point range when they couldn't get the ball inside Cardoso or Reese or whatnot. So the Mystics was on that, and that made the Sky very uncomfortable at times. And then it came back in the fourth quarter when you saw key steals like Edwards when she got the steal, when Angel and Herman was going after, was about to go out of bounds. She got the steal and took it all the way to put them up, and it was just beautiful to see. They had them to 36% in the fourth quarter, but the thing is, because of their defense, they couldn't get the ball inside. The Sky only got 4 free throw attempts. They were 3 or 4. Meanwhile, the Mystics were 5 or 8 because they stopped settling. They only took 3 3-pointers in the fourth quarter, and they shot 7 to 17, which isn't the greatest efficiency, but it was enough because of their free throw shooting to pull out this win. And when they were clamping down, not letting the Sky get any points, that's all you wrote, because the Sky couldn't really. One thing about the Sky's young bigs, and they got to learn, and this is the thing about being rookies and being young. Just because you get the ball in the post, I mean, you always got to shoot it or force it inside, or force it up, dog. Kick that thing back out, especially when the guard come down. You know what I'm saying? And I think the Mystics played into that. They just look, they're going to get desperate and they're going to force shots. Cardoso, especially Angel Reese, she's going to force it. And they had players open. You know what I'm saying? Like Diamond was 2 for 3. Dana Evans hit a 3. They had players that on the perimeter that were capable, that were right there, but they just never got an attempt. So if the Mystics wasn't turning them over, which they turned them over 8 times in the quarter and scored 10 points off of their 8 turnovers. If they weren't turning them over, the Sky were forcing some tough shots, and the Mystics did a great job of just walling up, not coming down with their hands, where, obviously being on the road and considering the magnitude of the game, you don't want petty fouls to be called and that dictate the game or not. So they just play fundamentally sound defense, balled up, and reason was shooting in the walls. And the ball was going the other way. While they complaining and stuff like that, this was going the other way, and they was getting easy looks. And, tip your hat to them. 3-game winning streak. This is the fight we expected to see all season. Like, we knew coming in, all right, fine, y'all not the most talented team, top to bottom. But if y'all fight, y'all should be in the mix in the playoff, at the bottom half of that playoff race, if y'all healthy and y'all fight. And this is the fight I wish we would have saw all season. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in this position. But if we're here, they turned it on at the right time, and they just got to continue. And they're leading with defense. They're leading, and the beautiful thing is Shakira, she's not even there. So hopefully she gets healthy fairly soon. It was good to see St. Carly come back. That was an added bonus. Another smart defender or whatnot. They can do a little bit of everything on offense. So, I like what they're doing. They're competing hard on the defensive end, and they're finding ways to win. It's not pretty, but at this stage in the game, who cares? Just win.
Again, what we said last time, there's no addition. You don't get an extra win because it's pretty or you won by a certain amount. All dubs are equal. Ugly dubs, blowouts, what have you. And as Cardell, you pointed out, they need each and every one of them due to this situation, they're in. The point you made about Dolson and Edwards, they did a really good job of just taking the initial bump and not trying to get blocks. Like, essentially, it was selfless. You just had to take the bump. Because a lot of bigs reactions, a lot of times how the Sky do most of their damage is Cardoso and Reese bullying China shops down there more times than not. And folks get to bringing their hands down, and you end up on the line, or you end up off the court because you're in foul trouble. And down the stretch, you talked about in that fourth, they did a good job of just taking that initial hit. I thought they found a nice little flow in terms of because of Cardoso, when if Dolson's in there, Ali is gonna do the moving. You stay there, be a little bit more stationary, don't get you in trouble where you have to move. I think there was like down a stretch, a screen on Sykes. Her player tried to beat her to the cup and try to pass the ball down the baseline. Aaliyah helps Sykes cut it off. Then Atkins comes down, like Cardell, you saw it digging down. Atkins comes down, gets a hand on it, pops in Dolson's hand. They were on a string defensively.
Yes.
It was great to see. And again, like this doesn't happen without their front court. The job that they did, and I know if you look on the stats, we know what happened on the glass, what have you. But missing Shakira is kind of a big deal. We saw what she was doing before she went out with her ankle last game when she's like her and Brittany just started getting back in the flow before Shakira unfortunately twisted her ankle. So Washington was missing a big piece. To the same token, Chicago was missing Kennedy Carter. So two pieces were missing. We saw one team was able to get the dub in spite of. Other team couldn't really live without it. And Cardell, to your point, we were talking about what Washington was doing in terms of making sure on that reversal, taking that pass. I felt like some of that, and I know that Kennedy's not a great three-point shooter, but some of that luxury of her being out there because she's one of the only guards that can consistently generate space. Chicago, they missed her at times tonight. And
they missed her totally because she's the one that it would have been tough to dig down because you can't leave her. And the times like in the fourth when they got cold, you can give her the ball and she can create, like she can make something happen. And that's dangerous. Like she's their leading scorer for a reason. So yeah, they missed her.
And so that's Atkins and Sykes on the perimeter that don't have to deal with Kennedy. That's not a knock to the other players, but that's Atkins and Sykes digging down and getting back. Like that's not tough for them who are tasked with guarding tough assignments. But like you said, you guys both said just really tough win. And shout out again to Emily Insler. She's come on recently, consistently providing good minutes for them off the bench.
Let me throw this out there. The plus minus for Stephanie Dolson in the fourth quarter. I'm talking about the fourth quarter. Dolson was a +5. Atkins was a +8. Sykes was a +8. Edwards was a +9. Van Loo was a +11. And she only scored 1 point. She had no rebound, no assist. She just had 1 point in that quarter. All right. And Insler was a +3. Now you go on the Sky side. Reese was a -8. She didn't score in the fourth quarter. Cardoso was a -6 on the 2 points. Lindsay Allen was a -9. Onwell was a -9. Dana Evans was a -8. And Isabel Harris was a -2. That goes to show you this was a defensive game. And if you didn't execute defensively, you weren't going to win. And like you said, the Mystics, they were on a string. Like somebody moved, the other person was right there to back them up. There was not, and that's what made it frustrating. Like you started seeing the Sky lose their cool and argue with the rest and all that. I'm like, they got them if the Mystics just find a way to score, which they found a way to score. I thought they kind of messed up when Sykes got to steal, blew the layup. I was like, come on, Sykes, dog. You know what I'm saying? I've seen you damn near dunking the game before. But it is what it is, man. But they found a way, man. And that just shows you, like, when have you seen a player be a +11 and only have 1 point? And that's their only, like, stat in that quarter. You don't see that often. But the defense was hell. So I think the Mystics should, if they don't, something's wrong. They understand, all right, this is how we going. Defense is the only way we're going to be able to make this postseason run. So if we get away from that, it's over. So it's pretty clear cut. So it's on them. And look, 3 impressive wins in a row, man, for sure, especially tonight. A lot was at stake.
My last little 2 cents where I asked you guys about player of the game. Shout out to Shig Sutton and Miss Kone just jumping in there because they, again, you're being asked to jump in and they're fighting for their lives right now. And they came in and did their part. I know Shug's a vet. She's been here before. But Kone coming over from Minnesota, you can see, the projected talent there. But you got to appreciate the activity defensively. We know offensively, clearly there's still some room to go. But you also see where Washington kind of like going forward, looking forward, it looked like they want a super freaking athletic front court. You know what I'm saying? You take Dolson out the picture, every other big we see in the game, they don't have the issue sliding them things or getting up and down the court. That's Kone, Ingsler, Edwards, Shakira, obviously when healthy. And from a defensive perspective, you gotta love it. But player of the game for you guys, Ray, start with you then, Cardell.
Oh man. I'm gonna go Stephanie Dolson, man. She just her production on both sides of the court. Definitely feel like that contributed heavily to the win. Um, Even I know she had 17, but like defensively and rebounding wise, that's where the biggest ground needed to be made up. And yeah, I think she made a mark in those areas.
Cardell.
Yeah, it's tough, man. She balled. Damn, that's tough. But I'm gonna give the edge to Atkins in this one. You know, her 15.6 rebounds, 5 assists, only 2 turnovers, 60% from the field, 60% from three. She was just deadly efficient in all aspects. And not only did she lock up, with sight help lock up the Sky's backcourt, she was down there in the trenches trying to contain those bigs too. Like she literally did it all tonight, man. And it was it was an efficient matter, but it wasn't in a matter of like I gotta play here and win this game. She did it within the flow on the road, and I think that showed that she trusts her teammates now. You know what I'm saying? Like she trusts a lot of those ladies she playing with. So the youngest that's starting to step up. So I think she was huge, man. Because 1 minute she's guarding Allen, the next minute Diamond DeShields. You know what I'm saying? Like then Mariah, but then she down there digging down on Angel, showing two people on her, and Cardozo trying to strip her. Yeah, she was all over the place.
Yeah, I took a cop out. I gave him co-player of the game. Ariel Dolson was amazing. Taking the page up off y'all books. You don't get this done without either one of them. Also, like what you talk about with Atkins, with Sykes getting off to the slow start, she kind of just instantly got going, taking the baton from Sykes to kind of get going early on. But yeah, man, it was a hell of a win. Who'd you guys have for X Factor?
Again, I'm probably gonna go with Ingsler. Not her. She did like 9 points, 3 rebounds, but the beginning of that fourth quarter, it could have got away from them, and they was holding it down just enough to give the starters the proper rest. So when they came in, they could just hit the ground running and try to win the game. She's been pivotal, and she's not gonna get a lot of praise from most, people covering the Mystics and whatnot, man. But they don't have this 3-game winning streak without her. And once again, she stepped up. And I only think she's that. I think she's like 6 feet, and she down there playing like the 4. You see what I'm saying? So and she fighting, bro. She holding it on. Like think about it. She had 9 and 3, and only played 14 minutes. What if it's 34 minutes? Now that's 18 to 6, at least. That's a whole different ball game. So she's giving you high production in limited minutes off the bench, and they need all of it. They barely just won. She's been pivotal, man. Like Dolson had a game, but I expect Dolson to do this. Like if they want to make this run, like the Stars, I expect that. When the production Inkster's been giving them during this 3-game winning streak on both ends, yeah, it's been huge, man. And teams have to start to account for that.
Right.
X Factor, I actually went Ariel. Cardell pointed out she did a lot of little things tonight that had big results. Down there fighting for rebounds, timely baskets. Got the Mystics kind of got out the gate slow offensively. She was kind of the one that ignited the flame. So yeah, man, I went her for X Factor tonight.
I went Ingsler as well. Just over the last 3 games, what she's done, and again, the most minutes she's had in the last 3 games was against Seattle. We remember, the deflection down in Seattle, which was huge for them, and essentially win the game. Right? She had 12 and 9 in that game, 18 minutes against the Sparks, which was in DC. She had 9 points and 4 rebounds in that one. Tonight, 9 points, 3 rebounds. Most importantly, she had 3 blocks too, defensively, and then of those 9 points, 6 of them came from deep. She's shot 60%. She's has shot at least 60% in each of the last 3 games. Again, just to play to the point, Cardell, as you mentioned, she's been huge these last 3 games, man. Like you can't talk about any of these last 3 games and leave her out of the explanation as to how did the Mystics win? What happened during this 3-game win streak? She's a talking point, a large one at that. Again, with some of the shuffling that's going in the lineup, it's continuing for that steady that bench and the production again from the bench. Like it's been huge, and again, like Carter, like you said, about 6'1" at times with this on the floor, having to play center at times.
Man, it's this front line.
Yeah.
And there's no relief because they coming in there with Anya Ware and Isabel Harris. Like, it's no relief. No, it's just another big that can move and stuff like that. But, before we even end it, man, forcing 23 turnovers from the Sky in the game and scoring 21 points off that. That's huge, man. That's huge. And then the 14-2 fast break points. They got out and ran because the Sky bigs are not trying to run. Especially Cardoza. She definitely not trying to run. So it is what it is. So, they found they stuck to what can help them win the game for the most part. They had their little stretch in the third was like, what y'all doing? But outside of that, for the 3 quarters, they played Mrs. Basketball, and that's why they got the win.
Again, shout out to the Washington Mystics and the missing a 3-game win streak. That completes this little mini road trip. They'll be home Saturday to take on the Connecticut Sun, which obviously
Saturday or Friday.
I want to say it's Saturday. I'll double check for you right now. Saturday, take on the Sun at 3 p.m. Again, no one enjoys playing one of the best teams in the league. That said, Washington with a great opportunity. You're on a roll right now. Every team above you can ill afford a loss. Is what you have in your favor. While you're trying to gain ground, you also are delivering heavy damage to every team that you beat. Because Chicago, ill afford to lose this one. I know they play against Chicago, I think, another time before the regular season ends again in Chicago. But, hey, man, they're 2 games out.
And the Dream is down to the Storm right now.
You said they're down to the Storm right now? So there's a possibility. Man.
And you know what I'm saying? And the Sun, it's a few games until then, but, the Sun, they lost tonight, so they're going to be pissed about Saturday. So Missy got to come ready to play. But even then, Friday, the Sky play the Fever and the Dream play the Aces. So it's a chance. Like if the Dream lose tonight and then they lose on Friday, they Missy's up. Like they got a shot. Like they got a shot, dog. Like, and if the Sky lose on Friday, there's a chance that they could play the Sun and they could all be tied for the final playoffs.
Yep.
And then if they win, the Mystics got it. If they beat the South Saturday.
And again, to remind y'all, all that can happen before we hit September. Like going down the stretch of the W season is about to be nuts. Again, everything Washington's been through, we've been saying they still, despite everything, we've done a pretty good job remaining to be big picture with it. This is why.
Shakira, Ice Tub, Shakira, come on, Shakira.
Man. They got some winnable games coming up too.
Yeah. Ice Tub, Shakira. Hey, Icy Hot, all that. Acupuncture, whatever you need to do. George Jefferson walking your back, whatever you need to do. Let's go, man. Get healthy.
We're going to see y'all on Saturday after Mystic Sun again. Very good win for Washington on the road. That's back-to-back great wins for them on the road. Again, 3 games in a row. We'll see what things look like if they can make it 4 come Saturday afternoon.